Okay, so Volkanovski versus Makhachev has happened and finished, and I want to start looking towards the future. I know a lot of people are still contending on who won the fight, who's pound for pound number one, and all that sort of stuff, and I probably will carry on for a couple of weeks to come. I already gave my thoughts briefly. If you want to check them out in detail, you can check them on my channel. But very, very quickly, on the night of the fight, I thought that Islam Makhachev won the fight. However, as of today, I still have Alexander Volkanovski as my number one pound for pound fighter. Again, you want to check it out more in detail, go to my channel. But today, I want to more so talk about who's next in the lightweight division. Who should Islam Makhachev fight next? And who do I think he will fight next? So I have the rankings right here, the lightweight rankings. But I think the first question that we should first answer is, do I think that a rematch is going to happen next? I will say this, when it comes to a rematch, if Yair Rodriguez did not fight Josh Emmett for the interim title, I think that there would be a better chance for a rematch, but because that fight happened and Yair looks so good and we have an interim fight now there, I don't think that they will do a rematch. Now, if Alex beats Yair Rodriguez, well, now it's interesting because you have Max Holloway versus Arnold Allen coming up. However, if Max wins and Alex wins, I obviously don't see a fourth fight happening and Alex will probably just want to move up. But if Arnold Allen looks very impressive, well then he'll have to beat Yair and then beat Arnold Allen before he moves back up. So Alex's path back to lightweight could still be maybe not until next year. Now, if they made a rematch, would I care about that? No, I personally would not, because that was such a good fight. I would not personally mind seeing a rematch. However, just based on the circumstances, you have Yair there, and then we have a bunch of people at lightweight. So let's talk about that now. We're going to go over the lightweight rankings and see who Islam Makhachev will fight next or should fight next. So a brief overview of the rankings. Makhachev champion. We have Oliveira, Poirier, Gaethje, Beneil, Chandler, Fiziev, Gamrot, Tsarukyan, RDA, and then Jalen Turner. So that's the top 10 rankings right now. And from these top 10, we already have some matchups that are booked. We have Gaethje versus Fiziev. We have Conor versus Chandler that's going to happen. We have Dariush versus Charles Oliveira, rumored for May, around there. Maybe it'll get announced by the time this video comes out. So those are some of the fights that we have booked so far. Now, I think a lot of people are going to disagree with me, but for me personally, I would honestly be okay if they just gave Beneil Dariush the shot. Now, I know a lot of people are going to say, what the hell are you talking about? He should fight Charles Oliveira next. He should fight Dustin Poirier. He should fight someone ranked above him for a number one contender fight. He doesn't deserve it, etc., etc. I understand that, but to me, I think now is the time to make that fight. Let's just look at the top 5 rankings, okay? You have Charles Oliveira, who just lost to Makhachev recently. If he beats Beneil Dariush, great. There we just lost a fresh matchup. Let's say Poirier. Well, he's recently lost to Charles Oliveira, and he's lost to Khabib not too long ago either. Maybe they could give it to him again. It is a fresh matchup, but he has lost those 2 title opportunities recently. Same with Gaethje. Lost to Charles Oliveira, lost to Khabib. Then we have Dariush, who hasn't had a title shot yet. And then we have Chandler, who's lost a couple in a row and is scheduled to fight Conor later in the year. To me, if you just want a fresh matchup that's an interesting style matchup, I say just make the Beneil Dariush fight. Do I think that's going to happen? No, I'm pretty sure the UFC is going to book Charles with Beneil, because if they don't book Charles with Beneil, who's Charles going to fight? He's already beat Poirier. He's already beat Gaethje. Chandler's booked. Fiziev is booked against Gaethje. Tsarukyan, I don't think he would accept that. I believe Gamrot's scheduled for Jalen Turner, I believe. Correct me if I'm wrong. And then RDA, I don't think he would accept that either. Charles would not accept that. So Charles doesn't have anybody else, so it is possible the UFC is just going to be, yo, screw this. We're just going to throw in Charles and Beneil for the time being. But again, the risk of that is that if Charles beats Beneil, again, that just means Beneil didn't deserve or get the title shot. I understand that he couldn't beat the number one contender. However, I also do like fresh matchups. I think the Beneil fight is interesting. And also keep this in mind. Beneil was supposed to fight Islam Makhachev at one point. I believe Beneil withdrew from that. He was also supposed to fight Charles Oliveira at one point, and Charles Oliveira withdrew from that. He beat Tony Ferguson, who was ranked at the time. I understand that was after Tony was already, had lost to Gaethje and stuff. But Tony was ranked at the time, and then he beat Gamrot, who was a up-and-coming rising contender who had just beat Tsarukyan. So he had those 2 solid wins. Now, I understand he hasn't beat anybody here in the top 3, but if you just want a fresh matchup, I say do it. And here's the other question. This would not be the worst title shot that the UFC has given. I mean, the UFC has given title shots to less deserving people at times. So the way I look at it is just give it to Dariush. The guy's had 2 ranked wins. Granted, not within the top 5 right now, but he's got 2 ranked wins. He was supposed to fight Makhachev and Oliveira at some point. The fight just fell through. And it's an interesting style matchup. It's fresh. Let's just make it happen. I also want to remind people that Conor is scheduled to face Chandler later this year. And of course, if Conor wins, most likely they'll just give him a title shot because, you know, they'll just say, oh, he beat the number 5 guy. Of course, the UFC wants to cash in on him before Conor retires. Conor most likely has a couple fights left in him. Obviously, Conor versus Islam, you know, Khabib's relative and, you know, someone he brought up and everything like that, who's overtaking the throne for Khabib, and that sort of storyline they can make. You know, that's a pretty big storyline that they could sell. It's also really tough because if Khabib has a really impressive performance against Gaethje, that could be interesting as well. Let's say he goes in there and steamrolls Gaethje. Let's just say he goes in there and steamrolls Gaethje in 1 round. Well, that's interesting now because Khabib just beat the number 3 guy in very impressive fashion as well. That's interesting. That's somebody that the UFC could use as well. But I really want to see the Beneil fight because I think that the style matchup is pretty interesting. It's a fresh matchup. It's not the worst title fight that the UFC has given. I'm okay with it. So let me know what you guys think in the comment section. Who do you think should be next? If it makes sense to just give it to Beneil or should he fight next or whatever you think. Let me know in the comment section down below. But that's pretty much what I wanted to discuss today. Like the video if you like it and subscribe for more content similar to this. I know Andrade versus Blackfield is tomorrow, which should be a very, very good fight. Hope you guys enjoy that. Talk to you guys later.